let me start by expressing how truly honored we are to have you all here, joining us from all 7 continents. Believe that, right? We have a lot of people that will be joining, and from our record, we show that we have a lot of people from different areas of from globally. Well, this is more than just a workshop. It is a celebration of global scholarship and collaboration. So, as we build towards the upcoming RITECH Global Conference, right, which is the ICETCS 2025 and ITSS-IoE 2025, this workshop is designed to give you a competitive edge, helping you craft high impact Scopus ready research papers. So whether you're a master student, PhD, researcher, industry expert, academic, or even early in your professional careers, this session will provide you with insight and clarity in how to publish, with purpose and confidence on the world stage. So, just to introduce who we are, because I'm sure you've seen a lot of you know about RITECH, and Sycom Integrated Solutions. We have a global partnership with RITECH, and this workshop is the first of many initiatives powered by our strategic collaborations between Sycom Integrated Solutions, which is a cybersecurity and digital innovation company with a global footprint, and with RITECH, which is the research innovation technology ecosystem for sustainable solutions in the UK. And together, we are here to bridge research and innovation across the continent, supporting researchers from Africa, Asia, Europe to Americas. We'll be hosting global conferences and co-brand academic events, offering mentorship and publication support and speaker exchange. Our shared vision is simple: empower global talent through accessible, high impact academic platform. So I'm just going to go to introducing our expert, which is meet the expert here, which is Dr. MD Arafatur Rahman. And as we can see, it is a pleasure and honor to introduce our distinguished speaker. He is a global academic leader and a mentor to many. So Dr. Arafatur Rahman, so he's a reader in cybersecurity from University of Wolverhampton in the UK, and he has PhD electronics and telecommunications engineering, University of Naples, Italy. He is a former associate professor, University of Malaysia, Pahang. He has published over 150 peer-reviewed articles in IEEE Elsevier, right? Editorial role with IEEE Access and Frontier in IoT. So he is an expert in cybersecurity, IoT, 5G, vehicular communications, and edge computing. He is named Stanford Top 2% Scientist from 2019 to 2021. He is a senior member, IEEE, and fellow of Higher Education Academy UK. So we are privileged to have Dr. Rahman guide us through today on how to craft impactful research papers and navigate the international publishing landscape with confidence. Thank you, Dr. Arafat. I will have to hand over to you here. The floor is yours. I'll stop sharing so that you can.
Thank you, Abdulrahman, for your nice introduction. Okay, so let me share my screen. Just Let me know whether you can see it or not. I do believe you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Is it visible?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, that's great. So basically, what today we will discuss. Uh, Today we will try to uh, help you how you can shape up your conference article, and not only conference article. This talk will help you also any kind of article that you write. It could be journal, it could be a book chapter. So how it should be based on my experience, and I do believe different people different have their different views. So I will let you know based on my 15 years academic experience. You might disagree, or you might agree. This is what is happening in the academic area. So basically, the purpose of this conference is of this talk will be, as already Abdulrahman mentioned, that we will have two conference, and that would be in 27 and 28th of October in Wolverhampton Science Park. Okay, so uh, these two conference has some difference compared to other traditional conference. Here, we want to make sure that our participant, they will submit quality papers. Okay, they will publish their work. Okay, and they will get in advance ideas. Okay, so that's why this is the pre-phase workshop that would be that would be free of cost, so you don't need to pay for anything. So this is a volunteer initiative which will help you to shape up your articles, and then definitely you will submit your paper. All the paper will be rigorously, peer reviewed, and we will try to uh, only accept the high quality paper. So you already get my basic I mean and a brief intro, so that don't think I need to go again there. So basically, what would be the outline of this today's talk will be. It's very important when you do something, you need to create the motivation for that. So we will start with the motivations, then we will see what are the prerequisite you need to do, how you can take the preparation for writing a paper. And then you need to have a clear idea what are the difference between conference paper, journals, book chapters, and so on and so forth. And then we will give you a drive how to write a complete conference papers. And then we'll also try to highlight some ideas from a editorial point of views, what the TPC, the technical program committee, will basically looking for from your conference paper. Once it will be received, how we will do the how we'll judge based on what. And then we'll also give an overview how a research team will help you to grow, because normally it's a common practice when you write a paper, it's a group work rather than individual. So how one group members can mitigate the limitation of other group members. That is the main motto, to build a nice a team. And then we will share some tips and then Q&A. So as I said, that it's very important to have a strong motivation before starting something. So without having the driving force, we can't do anything. So it's very, very important. And it is you who have to identify your driving force. Okay, why you need to write a quality article. So for example, some people, they want to get an academic degree. So your publication may help you to achieve your degree. To source some source of promotional activities, you need to submit a list of papers and articles. Getting better job, enjoy it. Or every year, we have to submit our appraisals, KPIs. So you need to fulfill all these things. So this and many more. So what I do believe, the driving force should be aligned with your passion. if you don't enjoy anything, you can't fulfill your goal. So being a researcher, it is very important that no one should force you to do research. Rather, you will be self-motivated, okay? And that is the key to for your success. Now we will see that, look, this is the skeleton for writing an ordinary paper. What you should have. You should have a title, abstract, introductions, related work sections, and then you can discuss about some source of, overview of the proposed method, discuss the methodology, and then you have to validate your works through results and discussions, finally conclusions, and connecting some references that will basically help you to justify uh, the background of your research, okay, whether your problem is valid or not. Let's have a look what would be the skeleton or what would be the outline for writing an ordinary high quality papers. So wow, so it seems that if you write a high quality paper or an ordinary paper, the skeleton, the outline is same. So if the outline is same, why not we should aim, why not we should focus to do quality papers, okay? So what are the differences when you prepare this when you follow this outline to complete a paper? If it would turn into a quality paper, if you are focused, if you clearly know how each of the sections should be developed. So that is the key. Okay. So we will discuss today how we can work on it. So when I will discuss all these things, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and we will definitely try to answer your questions. And definitely at the end of the discussion, we will take lots of questions and we will try to, make this session interactive rather than I will just explain and then you will get lots of videos, lots of tutorial online available. You might watch it. But what we want, to make this session interactive so that we can even I like to learn from you guys. So I do believe education should be reciprocal from both sides. Okay, so it should not be that I will tell you and you will listen. No. Now, how you can take the preparation is very important. From where you will start your journey to write a quality article. First of all, you need to identify your domain. It's very important. How do you know which domain you wants to work? So we are not looking for that you will be expert in every area. Computer science is a big entity, and thanks to the uh, interesting features of computer science. Now computer science is dominating each and every aspect, each and every part of education sector. No matter which discipline you are, it is compulsory for you to know computer science knowledge. Okay. So you need to identify, you need to narrow down what you will do. And how you can do that? For that, you need to know the leading researchers in your domain. It's very important. It's very important. You have to know the culture where you want to establish yourself. It's very important. For example, I used to say these things with my students. For if you want to be succeed in your life, you need a very good friend. So a good friend will always make you align and help you to achieve your goal. So being a researcher, who will be our good friend? Our good friend will be our good researchers. Good friend will be the article that you read has to be high quality. Okay, so that will from where you will get inputs, and that will always keep you updated. Okay, So it's very important to know the leading researchers in your domain. You need to know all the leading conference and journals in your domain. You can also explore the special issues that was run by leading scientists in your domain. For example, there are lots of high quality journals. What they do, they basically invited uh, the leader of your domains, okay, and they will open up some new interesting issues. So people are trying to, focus that particular area, and they can write an article. So that will basically open up a new room to move forward. And then definitely you need to read high quality conference and journal paper to gather more idea. And once you will read, then you try to find some closest matching paper. So that matching paper, basically you will read and read until and unless you get a clear idea, until and unless you can regenerate that paper, that that closest match paper. What is the reason behind? When you try to regenerate the things, you can get a clear idea what are the flaws, what are the limitation of that work. So basically, if you can regenerate that article, that means you have already completed 60 to 70% of your work. So you know how to play all these things, and you also know the limitation of that article while you are try to re-engineering the process. So you got the idea and then improve that things, and that would be your work. So basically try to analyze the behavior of all the findings that during this re-engineering phase will help you develop your proposal. This is all basically help you to identify your domain, which is very, very important. Okay. In parallel, you know, when being a evaluator, okay, we are not only looking for the materials that you are providing, but also we need to make sure that you know how to present your work. That is also very, very important. Okay. When you serve a dish in a restaurant, although the quality, everything is very good, but if it was presented in a horrible way, okay, so you will not enjoy it. So that is another important part that we are looking for. So personally, I prefer that you should write your article in LaTeX, which is really a very good tool for a researcher that will help you to present your work in a more formal way. So if you are interested to know more about how to work with LaTeX, maybe Abdulrahman, you can keep in your mind, we can run another workshop how to work with that tools, how to utilize these tools. And definitely you can use and demonstrate your results through both demonstrating the results and do some experiment. Might need to know some tools, for example, MATLAB and other things. When you develop, especially in your methodology sections, you need to draw that, the overview pictures and so on and so forth. For that, you need to know some drawing tools, some softwares that might be important to work in your domain. So you can also do that one. And then if you are thinking that you will work in a test bed, you can parallelly work to develop your test bed. Okay. So that should be parallel way. You will identify your domain at the same time you are preparing yourself, okay, to move forward. Now, it's very important. It's very important to know the difference between, you know, uh, different form of articles. Okay, we have uh, as academician, we need to we are publishing our article in different domain. It could be conference, it could be journal, it could be book, and so on and so forth. So what basically we are looking for? There are lots of conference, leading conference in your domain. It could be IEEE GlobeCom, Infocom, it could be the conference as well that we are aiming. So when you prepare a conference, if you can extend that conference paper 30%, then that would be suitable for submitting a journal paper. But make sure you have to rewrite all the similar portion, otherwise it would be plagiarized. Okay, so make sure you can't do this. Okay, that would be considered as a self-plagiarism. So you have to rewrite everything, but in terms of contributions, you can improve 30%. And then in the introductory sections of the journal, you can say that our preliminary work has been published there. And however, in this paper, these are the contributions. So it is a good practice if you can mention that the preliminary work has been published in a very good platform that will basically help and increase the chance to get accept of your journal. Okay, so there are lots of journal when you submit the journal paper, that will be another category of article. You can write for survey paper, you can write a magazine paper, you can write regular journal paper. So basically so these are the overall pictures. So particularly in this workshop, we will not talk about all this component, rather we'll only highlight conference portion. Okay, now from this phase, we will try to explain in details, okay, how the outline of your conference paper should be and how you can move forward. So this slide is very important. Here what you can see, the outline that I already discussed in our slide, second slide or third slide, that what should be the outline, what should be the skeleton. So a skeleton will remain same. Now how you will move forward, that is very important. If you see here, there is lots of number. Okay, so basically that number will help you to get an idea how you should start. So if you check this diagram where the steps for writing a good conference paper, first and foremost, you should come up with your title that will be connected with your domain of expertise. Okay, so this would be a tentative title, and there will be a direct correlation with this title, introductions, abstract, and conclusion, because your title has to be reflect all these three components. Okay, so that's why it's a bidirectional connectivity. Once the title will be done, then you need to justify the related work sections and identify the research gap and validate that, oh, this is a justifiable research. So you can't identify a problem which will not be validated, which will not be verified by the existing researcher. If the existing researcher, they did not identify this is a problem, you can't say this is an interesting problem until and unless it is a groundbreaking events or initiatives. Okay, so once your related work portion is done, so first phase is title and second phase is related work. But if you see the skeleton, the second component is abstract, but we are not writing abstract yet. We are focusing on related work. So we know what are the problems. We know, we also provide the justification, and then we will move forward the key part of the key technical part of your article. So that would be proposed technique, methodology, and appendix. So normally in the conference paper, appendix is not that much important because of the lack of uh, uh, page limits. Okay, but in journal, yes, it is important. Especially you need to justify the proof of theory, lemma, and all those things that you can make it aside and keep it in the appendix section. But once the proposed technique will be done, then you have to go for the validation phase. So in the validation phase, you need to justify, you need to validate your proposal, and then we will go and write your introduction section. Okay. So introduction section will be once you know everything, the core component of your work has been done, then introduction is basically shape up, make the connection, write the story. Okay. And then once the introduction will done, then you will go for your abstract and conclusion, which will be at the end of your everything. So abstract is basically the gist, okay, the summary of your entire paper, and conclusion you will just wrap up and identify the contribution. However, the reference should be aligned with all these three phases, all these four phases: introduction, related work, proposed, and validation. In every area, the reference will be connected, but there will be no reference in abstract and conclusion. Okay, so this is the overall bird view how to write your article. And let's see how we can write an individual content, individual components. Okay. Now, when you start writing your title, as I said, the first phase is write a tentative title. Your title might be changed. Okay. And it has to be catchy and align with current trend. Okay. And what I personally believe to do of hybrid mode of research. So that's why I said that mixture of fundamental and applied research focus should be highlighted in your title. And then it should be aligned definitely with the theme of the venue where you are targeting. Let's say if you want to submit this paper in our IoT conference or cybersecurity conference, your title has to be aligned with that. Okay, you can't highlight that. Okay, let's, for example, software engineering. Okay, and the title is highlighting everything focused software engineering. And if you want to submit this IoT and cybersecurity conference, only by the look of the title, we will reject, and we will mention that this is out of the scope of the article. So look how important your title is. And another very important thing is when you write a title, you have to ask 3 questions, okay, to your title. And if you get the answer, then it's considered a good title. What are the questions? First, what, how, and where. So what will reflect what problems are you going to solve? How will indicate how are you going to solve the problem, and where is the area you are trying to solve the problem. Are you able to narrow down your area? So the example that I identified here, which is basically suitable for both IoT and cybersecurity conference, securing the unseen, a framework for detecting stealth attack in IoT edge environment. So if you ask, what problem are you going to solve? The answer is stealth attack. How are you going to solve these things? The approach is we will develop a detection framework, and then where the domain is edge environment, IoT edge environment, not just it's a normal terrestrial network. No, it's precisely talk about IoT network, which is a resource constrained network. So you already narrow down your problem. And then the second phase is when you write the abstract, although you need to finish everything, the abstract at the end. So how an abstract should looks like, okay? In abstract, you should keep these 5 components, okay? First, 1 to 2 sentence, you should discuss about the general statements. So you can try to make an open statement so that a researcher will understand, they can open up their mind, and then slowly you can drag them and highlight the real problem that you are going to solve. That would be the problem statement. Then you can clearly state, in order to overcome that aforementioned problem that you highlighted, this paper aims and objective is this. And then how you are completing, how you are achieving this objective, the overview of the methodology has to be there. And then what are the findings you get? And at the end, the social impact. So if your work doesn't have any social impact, we will not consider this is a research, okay? It has to somehow ease the human, the society problem. That is very, very, very important, okay? So now we can see an example of the abstract that was, I highlighted this title, right? Securing an unseen framework for detecting stealth attack in IoT edge environment. So the domain context is the generic information here, what we are trying to do. The rise of in IoT at the network edge has increased exposure to cyber threats, and then we bring the stealth attack is important, especially in the resource constrained edge environment. Then we try to drag you and identify why the problem of stealth attack, because of lack of contextual awareness. In order to solve these things, we develop a framework, and that will ensure low computational overhead, high accuracy, and real-time response. Because this is all the unique features of IoT edge environment. Okay. And then how we are doing this? We are doing this using a multi-layer detection workflow. And what is multi-layer? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And what are the outcomes you get? It detects, the detection rate is really, really acceptable, as with low false positive rates. And then we also demonstrate with respect to data exfiltration, spoofing, and eavesdropping attack. Okay. And finally, what this work will convey the message, why will be the contribution for the society? It enables proactive defense for smart cities, healthcare, and industrial IoT application. So after reading this abstract, the title, although when you will write your paper, you will write the abstract at the end, but being an evaluator, when we read the paper, we will first read a title, and then we will read the abstract to get a clear picture, okay, whether everything is easy for me to follow. Then I will go the next section. Otherwise, there are lots of people who can reject the paper just reading the abstract. Keep your mind, when we do the evaluation, it's a voluntary job. Okay, no one paying you to do this job. So it is your responsibility how you will demonstrate your work, how nicely you can present. So that's the main objective of today's workshop. Okay. We will try to help you what basically the evaluator test, and whether you are able to fulfill their test or requirement. Okay. Then we will go for the introduction section. Basically, the introduction section is the expansion of abstract. So whatever you write here, you write everything here in sentences. So keep your mind, abstract will be on paragraph, okay, which will cover 300 word, not more than that, okay, a good abstract. But from that one paragraph, 300 word, you have to convert it 1.5 pages. There are two ways you can write introduction. One approach is we'll only highlight the problems, everything without including literature review. In that case, your introduction should not be more than 1.5 pages. But if you want to incorporate literature review section, some people they prefer not to keep a literature review sections in conference paper separately. And they can uh, blend it with the introduction. But personally, I still prefer to keep a separate literature review section. Okay. So in that case, if you are not considering literature review, then on and on point, even on 5 is a good length of a introduction. So basically, what you need to highlight, you need to highlight these are the components of of introduction. The generic statement before in abstract it was 2 sentences. Here you need to keep it on paragraph. Okay, and then in the generic statement you will cite, you will try to bring some statistical information that will create the appeal of necessity of your domain, of your problem. Okay, and then problem statement will be 1 or 2 paragraphs. So definitely you need to cite existing researcher works, what problem they are facing, and to validate it is a real problem. Okay. And then the third portion, which is we call punching paragraph, is key portion of the introduction where you will highlight the aim and objectives. That would be basically dragging from the problem statements and the overview of the methodology and what are the findings you are getting. And at the and just finish up the punching paragraph, you will mention the contribution of paper, which will be itemized. So you are presenting your work in a such way so that the reviewer, he doesn't need to find where is the contribution. You should display it in a proper way. Okay, so they will understand, itemize everything. Okay, this paper contribution is these, for example, develop a proposed scheme, validate the schemes, and the outcome is this blah blah. Okay, and then finally, organization of the paper, which will tell you within 1 paragraph what are the rest of the sections. Okay, keep your mind, this problem statement has to be a layman aspect, this all introduction. Okay, and when you depict, when you try to write your problem statement, you can bring a big picture. Okay, so that picture can explain where is the problem. This is a good practice. So a picture can can save your thousands of words. Okay, so with a layman aspect you can prepare the introductions. Okay, if people will understand everything clear, then they will go and find the technical part, the technical component of your paper in the methodology section. But introduction should not be incorporated any uh, technical terminologies. And then we are talking about related work. So related work, basically you need to showcase existing work. So how we showcase here? So for that you can develop some strategy. You can create a small taxonomy, how you will represent the work in a section and subsections that should be highlighted in the introductory paragraph of the related work. And then you can analyze what is their paper is and what are the limitation of their work and how that limitation can be mitigated. I mean, to justify the necessity of your work. Okay, so research gap you will identify through these related work sections, and again you will justify the problems that you are highlighting. It's a valid problem, and this problem was not being solved properly, or it was solved but still can be improved. So it would be a very good practice if you can show up, draw a comparative analysis table at the end. Okay, where you will showcase all the existing papers and compare the proposed work, and you will highlight it that your work What are the difference with respect to some features? And these features should be important to develop to solve your problem. Okay, so in your domain. So that is very important. And when you cite in literature review, don't go. This is my based on my suggestion, my experience. So not go more than 5 years old article unless it is a fundamental article that you must need to cite. Okay. And then we also encourage to cite 2 to 3, not more than that, work, so that the people, the evaluator will understand, the reviewer, that you are working this domain. So you are not now, so no one outside for this domain. So you are already working in this domain. And then the key, all the technical jargon will be demonstrated in this section, which is the key portion of your, key novelty of your article, which would be proposed techniques. So there are a few components here. You have to highlight your methodology, okay, with a block diagram and discuss the methodology step by step, okay. You can borrow the methodology from others because definitely we are doing research. So we are getting the inputs from other articles and where we find the problem. Okay. So, but you have to specify, you have to identify and differentiate where is your contribution. Not maybe entire phases of the methodology or the block diagram, but you need to identify and emphasize there that, look, we have done this. In order to explain your proposed technique, sometimes you need to introduce some new definition, lemma, and proposition. If requires, you can identify it. You can also demonstrate your work. You might need to develop your algorithms. So you have to come up and explain, write your algorithm, and just not you will demonstrate your, keep your algorithm, and that's it. No, you have to explain. You have to identify the specific line of the algorithm, where your contribution, okay? Then explain that things. If you have some lemma and propose, if you can also contribute some theorem, if it requires, you need to prove. But personally, basically this lemma and theorem is more suitable for journal article. Normally, the lightweight versions of your journal article should go in the conference. Okay, so there is some example how the block diagram should looks like. So here it is clearly, this is one of our published article from where we are taking. There are three different entities. We are talking about pre-filtering, post-filtering, and then finally we combined all these two together and we give a name that is hybrid framework. And then we have to explain everything with this block diagram. And this is another example how to write your algorithms. So when you write these things in a latex, it's a very good tools where you can present the things in a professional way. Okay. And why we are keeping this line number? Because when you explain your contribution, when you discuss this algorithm in a text, you can highlight this line number and can say, okay, from line number 9 to line number 17, we are talking about these particular functions. Okay. So this is the reason why we are keeping this. And then our proposed approach has been discussed. Okay. Phase by phase, contribution is highlighted. Now, the next phase is you have to justify, you have to validate your proposal. So when we do these things, in this section, we need to discuss about the case study. If that case study will be required for your in your validation phase. You have to describe that case study. Sometimes when we develop some systems based on a scenario, we need to describe the scenario. If we do some realistic experiment using test bed or real environment, we need to have some environmental setup. So you can also discuss this environmental set of things if it requires. And again, when you talk about all these things, you need to do some assumption. Okay. So definitely keep your mind, your solution is not universal. It will never work for everything. It will work for a certain scenarios, and you have to identify the scenarios. You have to identify the scope, and you need to justify all the assumption that you set. Okay. And then you might say that it will work for other scenarios. However, it will not work properly because of all these things. Okay. So you need to also highlight the limitation of your work. And that limitation is basically open up a new problem which will be solved later on by other researchers. And that's why people will read your article and they will cite your article. So keep your mind, your article, if you will not be cited, so this will not be considered as a good paper. It will be simply it's funny comments that is it's we simply consider the tissue paper. Okay, people will not use it. Just read and throw it out. So don't try to keep your paper, consider your paper as a tissue paper. So rather, you have to keep some room so that people will find some opportunity to move, enhance it, but you have to keep that room in a tactful way. Not that that room will be some a big hole that will basically reject your paper. No. So you'll say, look, this model will work for, let's say, IoT environment. However, it will not work for the traditional terrestrial networks uh, because of these. So that you will clarify. Then people will might need this solution there, and they will explore what are the other things we need to incorporate. Okay. And then when we validate our work, okay, there are three approaches to validate your work. One is you can validate your work through analytical model, especially in computer science domain. Okay. So that analytical model through some mathematical analysis, and then you can validate, look, theoretically this work is work, this concept is valid. And once your analytical part is done, then you can double check these things in two different ways. One is simulator or emulator. Then you can say, okay, I have created that scenario and I have simulated this and I incorporate my model, and it can clearly demonstrate the model is outperforming compared to the existing one. So when we do these things, you not only develop your approach, but also you need to demonstrate. You need to prepare the setup for the reference articles. Okay. So, and keep your mind, you can't say that I found the reference article result is this, and I just copy from their paper. No, you can't do that, because when they develop their paper, their scenario, their simulation environment, everything is different. So you cannot just take their outcomes. You have to simulate both their one and your one in the same environment. Otherwise, it will not be a fair comparison. You can't compare with banana and apple. Okay, so it has to be in the same environment. Then you will say that, look, these are the difference between traditional one and the proposed one. Okay. You might also demonstrate in the realistic environment that we call test bed or the real devices. So when you write a journal, if you can highlight all these three, that is the best. At least two has to be there. So one will validate, one will verify others. But when you write a conference paper, you might, as I said, that conference paper is the preliminary phase of your research that we can demonstrate, and you can publish it so that you can text on that problem that, look, this is my work. Okay, so in that case, each of the approach you can publish. Okay, that look, the initial work has been done, and through the analytical model we have validated. That is good for the conference paper. But if we go for the journal, only one approach will not be justifiable. So definitely you need to consider two approach at least. And then in the valid here, identifying the performance metrics. Okay, so how do you measure? How do you measure the quality, or how do you select that your approach is better? You need to identify a set of well-established performance metrics or evaluation criteria. Okay, you can't simply choose some random things. That evaluation metrics has to be approved by the existing literatures. And then how do you demonstrate your findings? It will have two different way of demonstration. Number one is from the graph, what you can see. That is the discussion, illustration. Okay, I have found this. My one is initially not performing, and then in the middle phase is performing better than existing one, and at the end it is comparable to the existing one. So this is the what you can see. That is the narration you are discussing. But that is not enough for this phase. You need to justify why it is not performing better in the initial setup, why it is performing better in the middle phase, why it is comparable to the end. So this justification is important. And when you justify it, you will bring your analytical model, and that analytical model has to be connected with some other theories if it requires. Then you have to cite that things there. Okay, so we can't simply say that our is working better. No, why it is better. Okay, with what assumption? And at the end, it is worthwhile to mentioning the limitation of your work. Okay, and that will be the basically highlights it will open up the opportunity for the readers to think for their future direction. Okay, so that should be the validation phase, which is very, very important, very, very important, especially in the journal section. These has to be, extensive, and you need to showcase it in such a way so that reviewer get a clear picture, and these will justify all the objectives that you had been set in your introduction, in your abstract. Okay, then conclusion, you at the end you have to wrap up everything. You have to mention that what problem we are addressing here, what are the solutions you provide, and what we got, and how this we can we can heal the societal problem. Okay, then reference is very, very important. You always try to bring good people work. So reference is nothing but your good friends. So you have to always read good papers, cite good papers, recent and relevant paper, not irrelevant paper will be cited. So from IEEE Explorer, Q1 paper, transaction paper, the paper that published in Nature, you can cite from Web of Science, top leading conference paper, you can cite here. And if required, you might go for the other lower category of journal, but less if it is really important then. And definitely you can keep lots of statistical information to create the value, to create the appeal that this problem is important. So that statistical information basically you will keep in the introductory sections so that the reader will get a clear idea about the necessity of your work. Keep your mind, don't cite crappy papers in your work. So that will definitely ruin your all efforts. Okay, if a reviewer find that, oh, you are citing this, oh no, this is not a good journal paper that you should cite. So that may destroy your entire effort. Okay. Then appendix, you can keep lemma, proof, or cautionary, all these things. But this is suitable more for journal, less important for the conference as we have limited page number of pages. So then some tips from editorial uh, aspects. So I do suggest all of you, if you have opportunity and capacity to do so, you can review the paper, serving as a member in some good editorial or journals, and try to prepare some special issue that will basically help you to know what reviewer is looking for. Okay, then you can improve your article accordingly because you know what they are looking for. Okay, you will get an idea. Beside that, when you will receive the reviewer comments, uh, what you should do, the reviewer comments need to be handled professionally, not emotionally. Okay, because keep your mind, the reviewer is not your enemy. He is your friend. He is your well wisher, not friend. He's your well wisher who wants to help, who wants to improve the quality of your paper. And also, they are serving voluntarily. So it's a volunteer job. Don't expect that you have some personal conflict. No, nothing. But if you do have any personal conflict with any reviewers while you are submitting your articles, you can mention that things. So because of conflict of interest, normally the organizer will never assign that reviewer to review your articles. Anyway, so you should not underestimate the reviewer comments, rather overestimate. Okay, underestimate means you think that, oh, no, reviewer maybe, you can't expect that the who is reviewing your paper, he's exactly working your same domain. No, because as I said, it's a volunteer job. When we are organizing this conference or working for a journal as an editorial board member or editorial, you know, we are facing difficulties to find reviewers. It's very tough to find inline, although we are trying our best to review the article inline people. So sometimes we will bring someone who has experience, but not exactly in line. In that case, you might receive some comments that you may say, oh, reviewer, this is a bad comments. No, you can't simply mention that. You have to highlight all these things and clarify the things clearly. Okay, this is the underestimating, that you can't underestimate any comments. You have to properly justify. If you agree, fine. If you disagree, then you have to justify with that things. Overestimating means reviewer is asking you to do one task, you are doing three tasks. Now, this is a problem. Why? Because this additional two tasks that you are asking, that is new to the reviewers. And then he might ask you, and he will find again problem for these additional two things, and that may cause additional delay, additional work for you. Okay. So that is the overall things. And then it's very important to work to build a team when you work. Normally, this is the era of globalizations. We are working not only inside your uni, we are working inter-university, inter-global. It's a global consortium. People are working different planet, so not different continent. Okay. So when you develop your team, you should not bring the similar expertise people in the team. Then when you write a good papers, it's a team effort. Some people is very good in technically. Some people is paper writing. Some people is he has very good knowledge in algorithms and programming. So you need to have a complete package who can and eventually you can solve all the problems. Okay, so your limitation have to be identified and overcome, mitigated by your other team members. Then it would be a complete team. Okay. Some tips: choose the reference paper to move forward where you know the author. So if you know some of authors, you can read their papers and identify the problems and discuss with the authors. Look, this is the papers, and then I read, it's very interesting, and I identify these. And then in that case, if you want to move forward, if you know the reference paper author, you can get their setups, more about their setups, more about their experiments. That will ease your life, okay, to prepare your one. But if you get these things, if you don't have, so normally it is very, very tough to get reply from the authors because it's not their fault and they are busy with a lot of things. In that case, you need to redo that phase, their experiment in your place, okay, so that you can do a fair comparison. Balance team is very important. It is quite obvious that you should write your article in LaTeX. It's more than a recommendation. Okay, I would say the reason is normally when you prepare an article, it's most likely you have to submit in several places. Okay, and if it is not published in on venue, you have to change another venue. So using LaTeX, you can simply change the LaTeX class, and within 1 minute you can prepare your template, your manuscript according to the template where you are trying to submit. Okay, but if you work in normal other tools, for example, Microsoft Word and so on and so forth, it takes couple of days to move forward. Okay, so that's why it's very easy. But initially, if you don't have any idea, initial 1 week will be a bit nightmare. But once you know, and since you are expert in computer science, okay, it should be manageable. All the figures has to be high resolution. Okay, we encourage the figure should be EPS or PDF, so that when you zoom in, there will be no crack in the image. It will be crystal clear. That's why we suggest you to demonstrate your result through MATLAB platform, so you can save the image in EPS or both PDF, so whichever is necessary. Paper should be organized and well presented. That is very, very important. So if you follow to this workshop, okay, then I hope you can present your paper accordingly. Co-reference paper should be from high quality journal, and the similarity has to be less than 10%. This is what we encourage. But there is a difference between similarity and plagiarism. Let's say if your paper, if your article has 1% similarity, that could be even considered as a plagiarism if that 1% is taken from a block of a published paper. So basically, the block similarity is considered as a plagiarism. We can't do block similarities. Okay, you have to rewrite. Okay, and if possible, you can do some tools for or some native speaker to proofread your things. So that will all help you. And this is the targeted conference where you can submit your article. So we managed to get good keynote speaker from different part of the world, okay, who are basically highly experienced in both cybersecurity and IoT environment. And the good thing is both conference will be published in lecture note of electrical engineering, which is EI and Scopus-indexed, published by Springer. So I hope all of you will submit your article and give us an opportunity so that we can help you how we can improve the quality. And I do believe this what today's workshop will help you a lot, and you will get a clear idea what we are looking for. Okay. So I wish you all the best. And then if you want to get this kind of similar workshop and ideas in future, you may register yourself as a mentee in the platform that initially Abdulrahman told you, the RITECH Research Innovation Technology and Solution, which is a consortium, okay, UK-based research consortium. So the main objective is to keep all the researchers in a certain domain together so they can work together, they can share their knowledge, and they can grow. Okay. So then you will get notified our upcoming events. So that's all from me. If you have any questions, over to
All right.
you, Abdulrahman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arafat. I would say just keep your slide on, because if you go back to the previous slide, please. Yes, I'll rather have this slide on here so people can scan. If you look at the QR code for the ICETCS and ITSS-IoE, that will take you directly to the conference page where you can submit your papers. And Doctor, we have a question from Jayanta, and he asked, he said, do conference, yeah, Jayanta, do you want to unmute, or do you want me to just read it out? I think.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay.
Please, you can read it out, please.
Okay, right, good. So he said, do conference papers need original research only, or can they also include case studies or experimental work or conceptual work?
Okay, good question. Look, any kind of research. I mean, the word is research, right? Research. So if the work has been done, you can slightly improve it, okay? But has to be your contribution there. Keep your mind. Should be the novelty, and then it would be considered as a new publications, whether it is conference, it is journals, and so on and so forth. But if you want to focus particularly in conference, okay, as I said that when you identify the problems and when you are going to validate these problems, there are three approaches to validate. Since this conference work will be your initial phase of your research, you can validate it with one voice, okay, and then that would be good enough. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And does anyone want to ask questions? I'm sorry, I hope that answers your question, Jayanta. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes, thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Does anyone want to unmute? Please feel free. We need this to be a two-way conversation, right? Not just one way. So, okay. Okay, let me read out this. So someone asked as well to say, can we get a workshop soft copy? I've said yes. We will send a PDF copy to every participant. And another question is, kindly arrange a session on the latex. Doctor, we'll take that back, and we'll arrange something and send dates out. And the last questions on the chart here, it says, what is the last date to submit papers?
Okay, great question. So, okay, definitely, since we are recording this session, you will get these recorded versions that would be linked with the both conference pages. So you can watch this video again and again if it requires. And then the second one is in terms of latex, definitely we will do something, and we'll try to bring someone who is working, who is expert in this. Maybe not always every time I will be on board. We'll also bring some of other colleagues. Okay, so we'll let you know those who register. Definitely, Abdulrahman, we have their email address. We'll ask them to join, and we will definitely do some marketing to bring more people on board. And the last question is, the deadline for submitting the conference is exactly 1 month from now. Okay, it would be 15th of July. Okay, so prepare your paper. If you need any kind of feedback, anything, okay, then I would suggest submit the paper earlier so that we can send you feedback. So you will have an ample amount of time to make to improve your paper. Okay.
Thank you very much. Before I read the last question from the chart, does anyone want to unmute their mic to ask questions?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me?
Salam.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Abdulrahman sir, how are you?
Yeah, I am fine. If I'm not mistaken.
I'd like to thank you for your nice and great presentation. I think it will help the new researchers as well as us to write a conference paper, not only conference paper, as well as it will help us to make a also journal paper also. So I have one request only. If possible, can you share with us your slide or presentation slide?
Yeah, I'll contact. I think it's Bodrul, right?
Yes,
I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
I'm Bodrul.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I'll contact with you about this, but definitely you will get the video presentation in our conference website.
Yes.
Thank you, Bodrul.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we have a question here, Doctor. He said, if I train, that this is from Abdul Hafiz. I said, if I train and evaluate my model using frameworks like TensorFlow on my personal machine without deploying it to actual IoT hardware, while other papers use simulations or analytical models for validation, how should I position my evaluation? Would an ablation study be sufficient, or how can I meaningfully compare my result with theirs?
Yeah, good question. Okay. What you do, definitely in your approach, there should have some novelty, because in order to overcome, you need to find some way. Okay, some input has to be there, unique features that should be considered as a novelty. That's why you develop this framework. So now, once your framework has been developed, then you have to implement it, right? Validate it. So in your question is, I want to validate it in my own personal PC. Fair enough, you can do that. But in that case, you have to also implement the reference paper, reference article where you try to identify the weakness, and that has to be again implemented in your personal PC, and then you will showcase that, look, these are the difference. Okay, but if you try to bring their results from their paper where they deploy it in real environment, then it will, and if you try to get this outcome and compare with your own, that will not consider as a fair comparison. Due to the limitation of your, let's say you don't have the realistic scenario, I understand, but you need to implement their work in your available capacity. I hope you get your answer.
Yep, thank you very much, Dr. Arafatur. Yeah, okay, yep. So I've just had a nod from there from Abdulhafiz. All right, is there any other questions? It looks like Dr. Arafatur Rahman has done a great presentation for us today. And I would like to thank you, Doctor, for actually for your time and sharing this wonderful experience, and always been a mentor to a lot of us. So I would like to pull this to a close now. And I know it's Monday. A lot of people want to go back to work. And thank you for everyone for joining as well. You've taken your time out. And the recording will be available on the conference website. So we'll try and pull all of you there. At least go and watch. And just try and make sure, if you haven't registered to be part of the community, right, there is a link on the conference website for you to join the community and become part of the wider research group. So this is going to be, there will be ongoing different workshops coming up. There will be different conferences that we'll be organizing. That, as you can see, Dr. Arafat is here. He's going to he's chairing most of them. So you can assure of quality. So someone has just put their hands up. Kashif Khan. Okay. Doctor, please, I think we should take this question.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. Kashif?
You can unmute yourself and then let us know. Kashif Khan. I think mistakenly the hand was raised.
Yeah, it was a mistake. So thank you very much once again, and have a lovely week ahead.
Thank you very much for organizing such a lovely event, Abdulrahman. And I hope to see you all in upcoming conference in University of Wolverhampton Science Park in UK. So then that's all from my side. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate